Hey everyone, welcome back to the Garage Gym. My name is Stevie Richards. In today's video, we're going to offer up some tips and tricks using the Force USA C10 sliding bench because it's clunky until it's not clunky, but still somewhat clunky even after months of having this sliding bench. I'm finding myself kind of not feeling the rhythm of the flow of the setup of this sliding bench. So hopefully this video will help you and also be a reminder for me of how to set it up, break it down, and of course, set it up again. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do before you even hook these cables up to the bottom portion of the cables of the Force USA C10 is remove the pins from the weight stacks because it'll make it much easier to get this hooked up. If you have it, like I've made the mistake multiple times over and over again. As a matter of fact, before I recorded this, I did a leg workout. I left it in at 60 pounds, and guess what happened? I couldn't even move these cables to get them in place. So make sure you remove all the resistance, all the weight off the stacks, and it'll be making it much easier to hook these cables up to the sliding bench. All right, the next tip is to hook the cables up before you slide the bench in place. I've done this multiple times, and with a back injury, and that's what the sliding bench is supposed to help with, so it's not supposed to hurt you as you're setting it up, but set these cables up, and these are green cables, so this is good for me with leg presses. I haven't done hack squats, I'm gonna explain why, and I haven't done even leg curls with this. It's mainly just for leg presses, some calf raises, and leg extensions. And I don't even use the cables for the leg extension, but I'm gonna save that for the full review of the sliding bench for the C10. So the next tip, which is probably the number one tip with this, because this thing is huge, and that is to be careful when moving it. I always move it into the corner, but even more importantly for me, I tried to keep it connected to the C10 with the cables and everything, and that probably adds to the clunkiness to set it up, break it down, and then set it up again. Once again, that's going to be for the full review because you really do have to weigh the space saving of something like this with the inconvenience that kind of comes with something you have to set up, get the cables, get the ergonomics down, and then if you want to break it down and use the C10 for other body parts, it can be a little bit clunky even in that regard. So you got to weigh, I'm kind of reviewing it right now, you got to weigh if the space saving will trump the inconvenience of setting it up. I know it's first world problems. All right, so we're going to set it up here, and then we're going to get a closer look at the sliding bench because there is something underneath here that we need to set up before we get everything into place to get the range so I can do leg presses with a full range of motion. All right, so here's what I was talking about. You kind of see right here, we have this to disconnect this so it moves. So it's locked in place right now. What I do is I go out a bit with this, and you can actually see, you may not be able to, we're gonna try to get a close up. It says green on this tube right here, and that's what I have it locked into. And then just be very careful. You need to slide it right against that stopper there. Now you can bring this further out. It's a low row foot plate, but it also serves to put that up against there. Then when you hook the cables up and add the resistance, you're able to lock everything in place. Speaking of which, remember, go back to tip one, take these out, and then you have no resistance right there, and you can hook everything up. There are a couple steps to do first to make sure the bench reaches, and we're gonna show you that next. So the bench right now is out of reach to get that green cable into this channel right here. Very simple fix for that. You release that. So it'll lock in place right there when you want it for, say, leg curls, leg extensions. You bring it out and let a little tab right there not lock in like that, and then you can slide it as close as possible to the C10 right there. So we're gonna go and hook the cables up and show you how that happens. All right, so here you see we can slide this as close as possible, and we have it hooked up right there. We're still gonna need to pull this out. That's why having the resistance taken off makes it very easy to do that. We'll do the other side, and then that's it. We're ready to go. Essentially, we got a couple more adjustments to make, but this is all you need to do. That's why it's important to take the resistance off because it's still a little bit tight to get that into this channel right here to hook it up for the hack squat and the leg press and also the calf raise. I do want to point out, even with no weight, look at the way my back is. And of course, I'm going to have a full review, but this is supposed to help people with back injuries. There are positions where I can feel my back tweaking and I don't like it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to this sliding bench. So I showed you this right here in order to let the sliding bench actually slide towards the C10 to hook the cables up. But this adjustment here is going to be for the leg press. So you can just pull this out and basically it's like an FID bench type thing where you would set it up almost like for incline dumbbell presses or barbell presses. You just got to find out where the sweet spot is. And since I have a herniated disc that likes to slip out a lot, I got to be very careful with this angle. As a matter of fact, I make sure my back is right up against here and there's no space with that. And it does feel very good, although there is some pressure on my back, even with this, and especially with the hack squats. That's why I do not use this for any kind of squats. I use the Squat Max. So it's kind of, in my case, not using it for all the exercises that it's supposed to be used for, but for leg press, calf raise, and even leg extensions, this thing is really, really good. I'm reviewing it. Oh, good Lord. We'll do a separate one. So as far as the leg press plate goes, right here, you can see this is for the distance from here, and you can see right back there how far it comes out. And then this is for the angle. And I set up the leg press kind of on an angle where my heels are going to do the work for the leg press and not my toes. So I set it back just a little bit, maybe about, I would say maybe 10 to 15 degrees this way at the top. As you can see the adjustment point here and even here. This is the control for this, and this is the control for the distance. So you have to dial these in. I just leave the leg press on the entire time, but you can see how that can block the weight stacks slightly. So like I said, the space saving versus the convenience, you got to weigh it in your fitness journey. So that is just some tips and tricks on how you can set up, break down, set up again the C10 sliding bench. Now this is the more expensive version. I feel like it's a beefier version. And if you're going to choose between this one and the one that's more affordable, I would just do the buy once, cry once for this. But like I said, I'm going to do a full review with the pros and the cons I've experienced over the course of months using this, especially when it comes to, like I said, setting up, breaking down. There is a learning curve involved with this. And even months later, I find myself just trying to say, okay, I'm going to leave it set up. I'm going to do other stuff with the Flexicon or the Power Tower or dumbbells or whatever, and leave this set up for legs like maybe 2 to 3 days later, sometimes 4. But it takes a little bit to set up, a little bit to break down. And of course, you have to be mindful of your ergonomics, your height, leg length, leg positioning, all that stuff. So I would definitely write down the numbers or the positions that you're used to, especially with multiple people using the C10 and especially using the sliding bench. And I do have some feelings, like I said, about the ergonomics or lack thereof of the hack squat and the leg curl especially. I use it for leg pressing. I use it for calf raises sometimes with my back because you kind of shuffle your feet down to this position. I don't like that. I'd rather just do the standing or seated calf raises with a pair of dumbbells. But when it comes to this, you really have to say, nobody has an unlimited amount of space. So that's why I went with the bench, and it really has served me with more pros than cons. But I want to make you aware the tips and tricks will hopefully overcome some of the clunkiness of this, but it's still going to exist. Here I go reviewing it again. I guess that's what I'm doing. But like I said, I would recommend the more expensive model. It's a more featured model with the comparison of those sliding benches. So please leave a comment below with any questions. I have the full review of the sliding bench coming up very soon, along with an updated review of the C10. So please subscribe and click the bell to get notified. And once again, like I said, comment with your thoughts and especially your questions, because I try to answer each and every one the best that I can. And if I don't, I tell you to go to the support page or email support, and they will have the answers for you. But for now, thank you guys so much. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great day.